Man, you're working. LT Foundation,
Yeah.
QBIQ, the Gunslinger Academy. You're influencer of good sports drink.
Yeah.
You're at the Super Bowl conducting camps.
Yo, what's up, guys? You're watching the hottest and most informative youth show, Sports Talk by Youth. I'm your host, DJ, and I'm joined by my co-host, the myth, the man, the legend, Coach Darius. Before we kick it off, remember to click the bell, subscribe, like, follow, and share for more tips for public speaking, exclusive interviews, and more. We have a treat for you today. Our next guest is an NFL alumni and one of the few players to represent HBCUs in the NFL. He's a graduate from historic Morris Brown College. His time in the NFL includes stops with San Francisco 49ers and New Orleans Saints. He's the owner of the nationally recognized Route King Training, where he trains the top NFL, college, high school, and youth receivers in the country. He's a philanthropist with his foundation, one of the largest standing youth football programs in the state of Georgia, the Atlanta Bulldogs Academy, ABA, and has been awarded the Community Leader of the Award by Born to Compete. He's a proud husband, father of 2 Division I athletes, and the offensive mastermind at local high school powerhouse, Douglas County. Your coach, my coach, and friend, Hilton Alexander. Coach, welcome. Thank you for being here, taking out a few minutes of your busy schedule to give back to our youth viewers.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate that welcome.
Coach, appreciate it, man. That's a hell of a resume that
Absolutely.
you just ran off there right there, man.
Absolutely.
I knew you, but I didn't know I knew all this going on.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, before we get started, man, here at Sports Talk by Youth, I always like to tell everybody what the show's about.
Yep.
And it's a mash pot of what we're trying to do is, and you know this firsthand, athletes speaking and being comfortable in front of the mic. And so I thought about 2 things I love, sports like you, and giving them a platform where they can tell their own stories, not me or you telling them. They can sit here, or me and you are, and tell their stories and learn public speaking, interview skills. So when that time comes, as you know from having a kid at Wake Forest,
Yep.
the interviews, the NIL, all that stuff is going to be much easier for them and much more open for them. So
Most definitely.
that's what our show's about. But before we start every show, Coach, we just give a toast, man. So you got some water in your cup.
Gotcha.
Brands, if you're out there, look, we're looking for somebody to, good sport. I think you come, Gatorade,
Absolutely.
whoever, we'd love to
Absolutely.
put you in here. So we just go
Prime.
around and say we're thankful for it, Coach. So I'll go first.
sure.
I'm thankful for just today, man. I've had great parents, guys like yourself, Ben, that see the vision, that just want to support us, and not just us and me, but the kids like him and the ones that you train in the AB Academy. So what are you thankful for, Deej?
I'm just thankful to interview today and interview my trainer.
Okay. Coach, what about you?
Gotcha. I mean, I think that every day 10 toes above ground is a blessing, man. That's something to be
Absolutely.
thankful for. And then also just thanking God just allowing me to be in the position to be able to impact the youth. You know what I'm saying? That's what I do, and that's what I take pride in. I enjoy it. You know, they always say do something you love. It's never feel like work.
Yes.
You know, so I grind, and people ask me how I do it just because I feel like it's my calling. So I'm just thankful to be in the position I'm in to impact the youth in a positive way.
Man, we appreciate it, Coach. We're going to drink to that, man. Cheers to
Drink
y'all.
to that.
Thank for y'all being here. All right, now that we got that out of the way, Coach, let's get started here. I told you before you sat down, and I'll say it here again. When do you rest, man? Man, you're working. LT Foundation, QBIQ, the Gunslinger Academy. You're influencer of good sports drink.
Yeah.
You're at the Super Bowl conducting camps. Friday Night Lights, ABA Academy, Route King Training, which you've been to today.
Yeah.
Coaching high school football. Bro,
Yeah.
is it 2 of y'all? When do you sleep?
You know, man, I think I just love it, man. You know, I just love what I do, and I like to look at myself as multifaceted. I never want to be pigeonholed into a box and say that I'm only this.
Right.
You know, because I preach to my own kids and kids that I train that you can do anything that you put your mind
Absolutely.
to. You know, and I feel like if I can balance it, you know, if I can prioritize, my day and my work, then I'm going to take on as much as I can. You know, my mom used to say all the time, you want something done right, do it yourself. You know,
Absolutely.
I think that's something that kind of
Miss Juanita,
stuck with me.
right?
Miss
Yes.
Juanita,
Yes.
shout out to mama.
Yes, absolutely. Shout
But
out, Miss Juanita.
That was just something that I just got from her, and it always stuck with me. And I told my kids, man, when I leave here one day, if y'all don't get nothing else from me, you're going to get work ethic.
Yes.
You know, I tell them all the time since they were little. You know, I tell all the kids, and DJ can probably attest to this too, you get out what you put in. So it's just a testament of the work and the work ethic that I want to display for my kids, my own kids, and also every kid that I have opportunity to touch.
Man, appreciate it, Coach. On you, Buck.
How did you get into football?
Gotcha. So, I grew up in Atlanta, born and raised here in Atlanta, and southeast Atlanta in the neighborhood called Summerhill. And it was a close-knit community, and sports was real big growing up. So we stayed in apartments, as we call it, right?
Apartments, yeah.
So on a beautiful day like today, everybody was outside, man. And I had older brothers, older friends, and I would be out there playing football, baseball, basketball. I mean, you name it. We outside all day. It's a little different from your kids today, man.
Yes.
Now y'all in the house playing the video game all the time, right? But, I had the opportunity to kind of touch all those different sports, but it was just something about football that I loved. And I begged my mom all the time to let me play. No, you too little. You're going to get hurt. And finally, by my 9th grade year, she let me go out for the high school football team. So I didn't get a chance to play little league sports.
I didn't know that.
No.
No, probably would assume
Yeah,
that. Right.
Yeah. My first time playing organized football was in the 9th grade.
Wow.
And I just fell in love with it. I was just naturally athletic, naturally fast, and I just got better and better each year. I just worked at my craft, and it just put me in a position to go as far as I did. It was just more so about my work ethic than anything else.
Wow, that's awesome. You just assume, right, you're training all your involvement.
Yes.
You've been doing it, but the 9th grade. Awesome.
I was raw.
What was your biggest inspiration / influence when you was growing up in Atlanta?
I think probably my greatest inspiration was my dad. Rest in peace, my dad. He passed away in 2014. But my dad, he played sports. And I can remember he played softball. He played modified softball, fast pitch. He professional basketball. He coached. He always had me around sports.
Right.
So I had no choice but to be influenced by what I saw. And a lot of times, kids try to mimic their parents. They want to be like their parents, hopefully in a positive way. And so he kept me around it all the time, and I saw the positive impact that he had with others around him. Because once he stopped playing, he started coaching.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I guess that's where that natural coach and trainer came in at with me, just seeing my dad do it.
Got it.
So he kind of influenced me to play and then also now coach and train the way that I do.
Man, shout out to your dad, man. I think, Ben just left, and one of the questions we talked about is fatherhood. We'll get to that later with you as well. But just to have that strong presence.
For sure.
Me and you as fathers, we understand what we're doing and what we're projecting to other kids. So
Yep.
shout out to your dad, man. Coach,
No problem.
while we're there, you're a late bloomer. You start playing football in the 9th grade, so
Yes.
you got some catching up to do, but you're naturally talented.
Yes.
Let's talk about, you attended Morris Brown. Can you talk about your recruiting process through high school? Because
Absolutely.
I want kids to see now, obviously it was different from when you went through, but you had options. What went into you attending Morris Brown in that recruiting process?
Yeah, it was a crazy story, man, on how I ended up at Morris Brown. Like I said, I didn't start playing football till the 9th grade, so that means that each year, I was naturally progressing, but I wasn't as far ahead maybe as some of the other guys that had been playing a little longer, right? So they had a little bit more experience. But one thing about it, I was tall and I was fast, right? And so I know I didn't know all the different nuances of the game yet, but I had the potential. They always say you can't teach size, you can't teach speed. And that was something that I already had. And so now going into my senior year, back then it wasn't social media, right? We didn't have social media when I was playing. So we would get letters. I would come home and you get excited, man, to get a letter from a college. Hey, we recruiting you. We like what you're doing. And so I got a lot of different letters, but the one that showed me the most interest wasn't Morris Brown. It was the University of Arkansas. All right. I'll never forget the guy's name. His name was Coach Fitzgerald Hill. He was the receiver coach at Arkansas.
Okay.
And he would come to my games on Friday nights. He would call me Friday nights after the game if he couldn't make the game on my house phone. We had house phones.
Back
no
there,
cell
right?
phone back there, right? And he was like, man, how's your game go today, man? I love you, man. Listen, I told your coach, man, to send me your film so I can go ahead and get it to my coach. He actually seen me playing in person a couple of times, so he wanted to get my film to show it to the head coach. And so National Signing Day came. So I'm thinking like, okay,
Arkansas here?
I'm going to Arkansas. I hadn't talked to Morris Brown and no other schools that was as consistent. And so when the National Signing Day came, I didn't hear from him. He called me. I got a call from Coach Hill that night. He said, hey, man, who you wind up signing with? I'm like, well, Coach, I was trying to sign with you. He said, well, man, I never got film from your coach. I figured you weren't interested in us.
Wow.
I said, no, I'm interested. Coach, is it too late? He said, hey, we've signed our guys. I don't have any more full scholarships. He said, let me see what I can do. He called me the next day. He said, Coach, we can offer you, he said, Hilton, we can offer you a partial scholarship. And I remember talking to my mom and dad. And my mom was like, what's a partial? What that mean? And so he explained it to her. And so my mom, in true Miss Juanita fashion, said, oh, that mean we got to pay some money.
Money, right?
Right? And so she was like, well, yes, ma'am, at least initially, but, depending on how you do, you have opportunity to, earn a full scholarship eventually. She was like, well, when would that be? He said, well, I can't put a timetable on there. It just depends on how everything falls, right? She was like, well, I don't know about that. We're not in a position, we I didn't come for money like that. So my parents weren't in a position, I didn't have a college fund, they didn't make the money to be able to pay for my tuition. So that kind of deaded that whole situation. And so I was in a position now where I don't know what I'm going to do. I had a 3.5 GPA. I had almost made 1,000 on the SAT. You know, back then, man, making 1,000 was big. I made a 990, man, and they were like, take it again so you can get the 1,000 club. But anyway, I had cleared through clearinghouse. So I was in a position where I can go right in and play, to receive a scholarship. I was about to sign with a junior college. This is junior college. You usually go to junior college if you didn't have the grades or the test scores or, something like that. But I had that, but I just didn't have any other opportunities. And so I wanted to be a teacher. That was my thing initially. I wanted to go to school to be a teacher. So my senior year in high school, I was in this program where I would go to school half a day, and then the other half of the day I would work at an elementary school. Okay. And so it was a guy by the name of Coach Cofield. Shout out to Coach Cofield, Rodney Cofield. He was the head coach at Washington High School at the time. And so I remember seeing him after the following week after signing day. He was like, Hilton, who you signed with? Where you going to school at? He said, I don't have nobody, coach. He said, what? He said, hold on 1 minute, man. I played against him at Washington High School.
So he knows what you can do.
He knows what I can do.
He expected you going somewhere.
He said, my guy just got the head coaching job over at Morris Brown, Coach Joe Crosby. Let me call him. And so he called him, put him on speakerphone, right? And he said, Coach, guess who I got in my office right now? And he don't have a scholarship nowhere. He said, who? He said, Hilton Alexander. He said, from Southside? That was the name of the school at that time. It's Maynard Jackson now, but it's called South. Right. He said, from Southside? He said, yeah. He said, man, bring him up here tomorrow. He said, tell him bring his best offensive film, best defensive film. And I went up there the next day. We had tapes back then. Yeah, VCR. We had tapes, right? I went to that office. He had the whole coaching staff, and I had my best offensive film and defensive film. We sat down and watched that film together. They said, we want to offer you a full ride. Wow. And he said, do you know what you want to play? You want to play offense or defense? I said, I like offense, coach. But the defense coach like, no, I need him at safety because I played both ways. Right. But eventually I wound up choosing receiver. And I got a full ride to Morris Brown College, man. So that's how I ended up at Morris Brown.
Wow, and I love that story, Coach, because people just think you end up there. But the perseverance, the knowing people.
Absolutely.
And I think something that that you mentioned, a good student, having all your stuff in order. Absolutely. Not a knucklehead, right?
Absolutely.
If you're a knucklehead, Coach ain't.
He wouldn't have never co-signed me. I had great character, and he spoke about my character to Coach Crosby. He said, man, listen, great kid, great upbringing, very respectful, very memorable. And so, to the kids out here that's watching this, man, that matters. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can have the talent. You can have all the talent in the world. You can be big. You can be fast. You can make all these catches. You can do all these things, right? However, if you don't have the intangibles, right, and the intangibles are your attitude, your work ethic, your discipline, your focus, your grades, and all those other things, then you could miss out on some opportunity. So just thankful that I was in a position where I had those things and somebody vouched for me and I got a scholarship.
Coach, man, I can't thank you enough. With these interviews I've been doing, before we do a pre-interview call, because I got a PowerPoint that I've created, and I walk kids through just some things to be able to look for when you're interviewing. And one of the things I always talk about is what you just said, intangibles. And I always ask them, hey, do you know the difference between intangible and tangible? And I explain to them, that is what coaches, businesses, if you got good intangibles, they will take you a long way. So I'm glad you said that, and that's going to be on film, and so appreciate it. Coach, great moment. Back to you, DJ, I'm sorry.
Coach, what should young athletes know about the jump from high school to college, practices, schedules, and nutrition?
All right, so once you leave high school, and depending on what high school you go to, because, there are high schools out there, right? No knock on any high school, but there are high schools out there that treat you like you're in college already, right? So you follow the strict schedule. They have you on a nutrition plan. They got the weight room system set up for you and all those things, kind of preparing you to go to that next level, right? However, there is a distinct difference between college and high school, right? And one of the biggest differences is you now learning how to treat yourself as a business and understand that this is a business. Because I can remember when my own son got his scholarship, and I heard the coach tell him once he signed, he said, congratulations, you just got $100,000 a year scholarship to Wake Forest University. So they are investing in you. It's an investment. You are $100,000 a year. So now a lot comes with that. You got to do your schoolwork, right? You got to go to study hall. You got to do your training. You got to go to practice. Any extracurricular activity that you're involved in, you got to be able to balance and manage all of those things. Your day is full. Your plate is full. I mean, you're talking about 6 a.m. workouts to start your day. Wow. And then from there, you go to breakfast, and then you go to class. You get out of class, you probably got meetings, football meetings, right? Depending on what time of year it is, you got practice. And then after practice, guess what you got? Another meeting. And when you get out of that meeting, you got study hall. Now you got class. Oh, I got a paper due in this class. Right. Oh, man, I got to study for this test tomorrow. And then you got to wake up the next day and do it all over again. right? So you just got to learn how to balance school and sports. That's why they call you a student athlete.
Perfect. And that was my next question, Coach, but we'll stay there for a second.
Yep.
And I'm glad for all you kids out there, hint, hint, that's when your dad pushes you out the bed, you growling and moaning. You just heard what Coach said about the schedule and the requirements. So if you want to be a D1 athlete, Coach just broke it down for y'all right there on the spot.
That's what
Coach, can we stay there for a second? I was going to
Yep.
ask you about the process, but you hit it pretty much in DJ's question. Can we talk about Deuce?
Yep.
One of the hardest working kids I've seen. I want to talk about, what he went through as a freshman this year, getting on the field in that process, and what, can we look forward to in his sophomore campaign coming up this year?
Absolutely. And so for those who don't know, my son is Deuce Alexander, and he's I guess a redshirt freshman coming up this year at Wake Forest University. Last year he was a true freshman there. And I think that what he went through as a true freshman is something that, everybody can learn from. I think he is a true example and the epitome of perseverance.
Yes.
Right? And not only perseverance, but just also a prime example of just kind of trusting the process, right? Controlling what you can and just waiting your opportunity, but when that opportunity comes, be prepared for it. And so he goes into Wake Forest University, highly touted coming out of high school. He ended up with 30 offers coming out of high school. He chose Wake Forest. He felt like that was the best situation for him in terms of the fit, the system, the campus, the coaches, and all those things. And, just like with any other, freshmen that coming into college, they want to play.
Right, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
You're a competitor like him, right?
You've been playing your whole life. You know what I'm saying?
At a high level.
And this is something for everybody that's out there watching. You go from a situation where maybe in Little League, you was a star, right? In middle school, you was the star. In high school, you was the star. But when you get to college, what do you think your teammates were? They were stars too, right? So now you're talking about those things that are going to separate you.
Yes.
Because it's no longer your talent. Everybody's
Intangibles.
talented now. That's where those things come into play. And so now, one of the things that they wanted him to do was get bigger, get stronger, right? I think he weighed 150-something pounds, right, when he first went to Wake Forest. And so they told him, like, you ain't getting on the field till you get this weight, right? And so I even had a conversation with the coach. I said, Coach, you telling me if he learned the playbook, if he making plays, he getting open, he doing all these things right, y'all not going to put him on the field if he ain't a certain weight? Coach, we got a standard here. And we got to hold true to that standard. Because it's more of a safety thing and durability and, and just the discipline and things that they want him to do, right? And so it was times where he got discouraged.
Right.
Because as with any kid, you feel like, I want to play. Why they not letting me play? I'm showing them what I can do every day on
I'm beating
film.
them at practice.
I'm beating them at practice. Like, Dad, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. Why they won't let me play on Saturdays? I said, listen to me. I saw him one time on the sideline during one of the earlier games. You could tell that his body language started to change, kind of pouting a little bit. You could see that. So I talked to him after the game. I said, don't you do that again. I said, because you never know who's watching, for one, right? You don't want to get put in the position where they're saying that you're uncoachable or you got a bad attitude or you're selfish or any of those things. You control your body language on the sideline. You continue to support your teammates, right? You keep a positive attitude, and you keep busting your tail every day at practice. You keep putting this good stuff on film because eventually they can't ignore that. Right?
He's so good they can't ignore it.
Honest God don't
Yes.
lie, right? So continue to put it on film, because if you check out mentally, it's gonna be one day they're gonna call your name.
Yes.
They're gonna put you in the game, and you're not gonna be ready. You're gonna run the wrong route. You don't know where to line up. You're gonna drop a pass, and guess what they're gonna say? I told you.
Confirmed.
That's
You
why
were
we
where I
ain't
thought
put you in there.
yes.
So I told him, I said, listen, control what you can. That's taking your butt today. Practice every day. Go there early. Be the first one to get there, the last one to leave, right? Get to the meeting room. Watch the extra film. Talk to the nutritionist about some things that you can eat to help you gain weight. Talk to the strength coach. Come up with a personalized plan.
Right.
Like, do more than what's required, right? Do all these extra things. And he did that. He just continued to work. And so having, man, the 10th game of the season, he ain't been in all year.
All year.
The 10th game of the season, they plan to get North Carolina State. And NC State at this time was one of the top teams in the ACC. I think they were top 3 in the ACC. And they were winning the game. It was fourth quarter. NC State was up maybe 21-26 to 0 maybe, or 3 or something like that. They said, Deuce, you win. And so I can remember being in the stands. I was sitting next to my wife, and I said, Deuce in the game. She was like, huh? I said, Deuce in the game. I'm quiet, right? Because I'm like, oh, Joe, he's actually in the game now. Because you got to think, 10 games, I'm sitting up in the stand, man, put Deuce in the game, right? But when he finally got in, I'm like,
What's up?
he in. Like, okay, we've been talking all this stuff.
Right.
And faith will have it, man.
The dad kicks in. You want to see how he's going to do it.
Absolutely. But I tell you what, man, faith will have it that he got out there, and the first ball that they threw to him in his collegiate career, he caught for a touchdown.
A magnificent.
And it was just like a wide open, blown coverage, like a real contested catch, getting held, grab, and he dove and made the catch for the touchdown. And you can see the exuberance, man, in his reaction. Like, it was just real authentic and raw.
Right.
All this stuff that he had bottled up inside of it, it just came out of that moment. And I said, you can see on the film that he was saying something, but you couldn't hear what he said. I said, man, what did you say? I just said, I don't know. He said, I just lost it a little bit. And so he got some criticism online. People saying, why was you so excited? We losing the game. I said, you got to know this kid's story to understand why he had the reaction that he did. You know what I'm saying? And so that's just a testament to anybody that's out there that's watching. If you feel like you're in a situation where you not getting your just due, or you're not getting your opportunity, they're not giving you a chance and all those things, control the controllables, right? Worry about the things that are within your realm of control, and make sure that when you do get that opportunity, you're prepared.
Coach, I think you got my notes. I don't know if Karen, somebody sent you my
I haven't
notes.
seen it.
Because that was my next point.
Yeah.
I saw you say this online somewhere.
For sure.
And I don't quote me on this, but what you just explained, I've heard you say it.
Yeah.
And I think as a coach, as a father, we've been around this game coaching for years, and there's so many people that miss that moment. Like, so you could have went finger pointing and finding all excuses why he ain't this. But you gave him what I think as a father and a coach is the most sound advice you can give someone.
Absolutely.
Go to work.
Absolutely.
Stay the course, go to work, and your time will come. And so that moment I know is going to be captured. I hope everybody in the world hears what you said, because they need to hear that. Men, kids, everybody.
I came from a different era. You know what I'm saying? Because there weren't transfers when I was playing. Like, I didn't play as a true freshman at Morris Brown. I still had some more work to do. Right? But now, man, with the transfer era, I just think that people don't have the patience, right? They don't have the patience to trust that process. They got this microwave mentality where they want the success right now. Right? But they ain't willing to put it in the oven and let it cook for a minute, right? They don't want to leave it in there for a while to let it get tender. They just want to put it in the microwave so I can eat it right now. But it might not be your time. Your time is your time. Don't compare your journey to nobody else's.
And, Coach, I think, to your point, adversity builds character. Like,
absolutely.
Those tests show us who we are. Like, when those moments, you sharpen yourself in those moments. So, that's something on your face, but you sharpen yourself in those moments. So, I appreciate that, Coach. I'll send it back over to you, Deej.
Coach, in our intro, we talked about philanthropy working. Can we talk about the foundation and football program, Atlanta Builder Academy, what it has meant to the kids in the city of Atlanta? Yes,
sir. Thank you, man, for asking me that question and giving me an opportunity to just kind of talk about that for a moment. So Atlanta Bulldogs Academy, ABA for short, Atlanta Bulldogs Football and Cheer Academy is the long name. The Football and Cheer Academy, and we call it ABA for short. The way that it came about is my son played youth football. And he started playing youth football for, at the time, was the top youth organization in the Atlanta area, called the Atlanta Vikings. Right? Shout out to the Atlanta Vikings. Absolutely. And so that's where he started. That's where his roots came from, and his discipline, his focus, all the stuff started with the Atlanta Vikings. And he went out there at the age of 4. You know what I'm saying? He was 4, turning 5, playing, with the Atlanta Vikings. And he played there through 8 years old. Okay? But I think that what happened is the reason why we wound up venturing off is the program. You talk about long-term sustainability, you talk about growth and all those different things. It just wasn't happening at the time with that program, and there was a lot of individuals within the program, coaches and parents, that felt like it was a need for a change, right? And so that's when the Atlanta Ducks started. So a lot of people, if you've been around Atlanta for a long time, know the history of Little League football. So Coach Brandon Morton, Coach Kai, they started the Atlanta Ducks, and they wanted me to come along with them. And so I took Deuce, and then like my whole team, because I got a number of kids that came up with Deuce that started with him at 4 and 5 years old that played with me throughout their whole Little League career. So we all, started the Ducks.
Yes.
So it was something new. It was trendy. We coined ourselves after the Oregon Ducks. I mean, we had some of the freshest uniforms, all that stuff, man.
Yes.
Yeah, so from 9U and 10U, we did the Atlanta Ducks. But the reason, for one reason or another, the program faltered, right? It didn't last. And so we were in a position like, what are we going to do now? My son and the rest of the kids, our trainers, still had another 2 or 3 years left of youth football. And I remember them having a meeting, right? And when I say them, I'm talking about all the parents and all the coaches. and they wanted me to come to the meeting. And I get to the meeting, and I remember it was at Chicago Pizza over there in Count Creek Marketplace.
Yes.
I walk in, everybody was there, and they were all eyes on me. Like, well, the reason why you're here, Coach, we feel like it's time for you to start your own program. There's no other person to do it other than you. You got the resources, you got the name, you got the connects, you got a winning team, a winning pedigree. We want to start a new program. We feel like you need to lead that charge, right? And so, after consultation with my family and some of my close friends, shout out to my boy Bobby Patterson. We grew up together, man. We grew up in, same neighborhood, went to same elementary school, middle school, high school, and college together.
Wow.
He always told me, he said, man, if you ever want to start your own thing, bro, I got you. Just let me know. I made one call to him. He said, let's do it.
Wow.
And so we was just like, what we going to call it? We like Atlanta Bulldogs, man. They look just like Georgia, UGA. And so my main goal was to make sure that we did things the right way, because you got to think, I had went through 2 programs that kind of faltered, right? So I kind of saw the things to do and not to do. And so, Atlanta Bulldog was established in January 2017. And I immediately made it a nonprofit, 501c3, went through it the right way, which is something that I didn't see in the other programs, right? So I did it. We're going to be a legitimate nonprofit. One of the main things to do is find us a home, a place to call home, a practice field with lights, somewhere that we can be consistently, call home. And then also, man, of course, we had to come with the swag, with the uniforms.
Absolutely. Anything else be enough?
Yeah, absolutely. And I just wanted to make sure that I provided a platform for these kids to continue to showcase their skills, a safe environment, a positive environment where they can continue to develop their game and grow, and then make sure that the parents get everything that their registration pays for. You know what I'm saying? And here we are, however many years later, you know what I'm saying? We still in existence, we still relevant, and I've been able to do that, year in and year out.
And Coach, to what you just spoke about, amongst a lot of change. I mean,
absolutely.
When you started in 17, because I got Kim's back there. We started the Giants, I think. I don't know when we started them the first time, but there's been a lot of change.
Yeah.
Just amongst the landscape.
Absolutely.
In those years, right?
Absolutely.
So to be able to still be, I think you're one of the longest tenured.
Absolutely.
In the city of Atlanta. It's
for sure.
Up and running and, like you said, relevant. So I think that's dope. Shout out to you.
Yep.
But I know, Coach, it's not just you. I've seen I don't know what y'all call it, the A-team, the WAC,
yes.
the band.
Yes, sir.
And I've seen at some of your practices and your trials, stuff like that, some of the faithful people.
For sure.
Anybody you want to shout out that's on that ABA staff?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I couldn't do any of this without these guys, and I call them my board, but they more like family.
Yes.
Right? And so that was something, too, that I felt like we didn't have previously. Like, we got a real board now, right? Got a legitimate board. So my boy Suge, man, Eric Mills, he's like my football commissioner, but he really like second in command, man.
Right.
Because Bobby, my VP, co-founder of the program, but he works for Future. He's Future tour manager role, man. He's always
busy,
he working, but he always a phone call away. He continued to give me resources and put me in connection with things. But my immediate team that continued to surround me, Coach Suge, man, Eric Mills, we went to high school together too. So he's like my right-hand man. He my partner, man. He the one who got the ABA band. He the one who put my logos on that band. He did that.
Right.
He believed in me and the brand and all those things. So he's the commissioner. My girl Alex, man, she kind of like my right-hand woman. Like, she do everything from the admin side.
Yes.
With Route King training, she's there helping me sign people in and do all those things, man. Alicia, she does all my fundraising and try to find grants and stuff like that. Suge's wife, Brittany, she's wherever Suge gets, she's right there to offer her help. Coach Travis, man, he kind of helped me with the fields on game days. He already out there. He got the field set up, marked off, like he do all those things. I got Coach Drico, man. He does all my marketing, my social media stuff. Like, we got a real team. You know what I'm saying?
And that's why y'all been able to sustain.
That's why. Because I couldn't do no one person can do this job alone.
Not with this schedule, Coach.
No,
not the one you keeping these days.
Not at all. And I appreciate them every year. I always take them all out, man. All expense paid meal on me. I always make sure that I give them an award as a token of my appreciation, and just let them know how much I appreciate what they do, because I wouldn't have any success without them.
Yeah, Coach. Shout out to all of them. If they're seeing this, I mean, giving back, your philanthropy. That's what makes us run, having good support system. So shout out to them. That was one more thing we want to touch on there. Did you want to touch on that last point there?
Yeah. You also received a dope award from BTC Community Leadership Award. What did that mean to you?
Man, it meant a lot, man. To be able to receive an award of that capacity and that platform.
Yes.
Right? It's a huge platform.
Shout out to Alex, man.
Absolutely.
We've had a coach over, I'll let you finish, over the last few interviews. I think 3 of them were B2C winners. And they looked forward to that moment. It's the biggest in youth football. So shout out to Alex and all the things he's doing. But go ahead, Coach. Sorry about that.
Yeah, man. Alex always supported me and
Absolutely,
everything that I've had going on, man. He just for what he do to for the youth and the community. It goes without saying, but Born to Compete is huge, man. And 11 Alive Team 1-1. He tapped into that as well now with the high school sports, and he just got his hand in so many pots, man. And for him to be able to recognize me, and I didn't ask for this award. Nobody nominated me for this award. And this is just something that I want to say to all the kids that might be watching this. You never know who's watching, right? He said, hey, man, you need to make sure you're there and dress nice. And so now I'm on this stage, and I received the Community Leader Award for all the positive things that I'm doing in the community. And I received that right alongside Frank Ski.
Wow.
Frank Ski and I.
The bowl Frank Ski been huge with.
Been doing it for a very long time. And so this was actually my second time, getting an award, of that caliber. I also received the Salute to Justice Award from the National Black Caucus.
Oh, wow.
From the Congress, man. And so they awarded me the Salute to Justice Awards also just for the work that I'm doing in the community, man. So it's always good. The things that you do, you don't do it for that. Right, I don't do it for trophies. I don't do it for recognitions or award. There have been so many kids that I've helped along the way. There's so many families that I've helped along the way.
Never mention it.
Never mention it, man. I do a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. I don't record it for social media and put it out there. It's a lot of things that I do, man, but it does feel good. I can't say that it does feel good when somebody do recognize, what you're doing and show that they're thankful and they're appreciative of what you do.
And one more on that note, Coach, you got a toy drive. I mean, you've been giving,
absolutely,
speaking of giving back.
Every year.
Can you talk about the toy drive, and if people want to help out and be able to partner with you, how
absolutely.
can we do that?
Yeah, and I would definitely appreciate the support and the love, man, because every year through Route King training, I do a free toy drive, right, where I collect toys for young males, young females of deserving families that may be in need of that help and that support. And at the end of the year, always right before Christmas, it's just a free toy giveaway, man. I've given out bikes, I've given out footballs and skateboards,
wow,
and iPads. I mean, you name it. And then on top of that, I always adopt a family too. So I've had the opportunity at least 3 or 4 times to adopt a family for Christmas. And so I wind up, supplying a Christmas for a whole family that otherwise probably wouldn't have had a Christmas.
Man, that's dope. Because we know what Christmas means to kids. Could you imagine not having nothing for Christmas?
Yeah. Well, I can't imagine.
I love it. I love giving back.
Well, Coach, I definitely lost it the same. Sports Told by Youth. When you kick off in December, we'd like to partner with you and make some type of donation or just some kind of way we can be a part of it.
No doubt. Thank you, man. Shout out to Toys for Tots too, man, because they helped me out a lot with that as well.
On you, Deech.
Coach, can we talk about your time in the NFL and just experience for you, and what advice would you give youth athletes about your journey with the Saints and the 49ers?
All right. Thank you for that question too. And so this is a great opportunity to talk about, always having a plan B, right? Don't put all your eggs into one basket. Okay, and one thing that my dad used to always emphasize to me, like, bro, get that education. Make sure that you get your education.
You hear him now, right?
They can take them knees out, but they can't take that degree, right? He used to always tell me that. So when I was in college, I made sure that I finished, right? I graduated cum laude, right, with honors from college. And, because of my success that I had, at Morris Brown, I got invited to the National Football Scouting Combine, and I performed really well there. I ran really fast. I did the drills really well. I jumped well.
People don't know you. I was 4.45. What you run that combine? I saw the numbers.
My low was a 4.39. You know what I'm saying? That year. And
you gonna go beat Coach?
I gotta keep working.
You train hard enough. You definitely can beat me now for sure. But I did a really good job at the combine, man. And I jumped 11.3 broad, which at that time was a record, right? For the broad jump. These jokers these days, man, they so fast and strong and athletic now. I mean, they jumping almost 12 feet. But that was real big back then.
Right.
But my senior year, I got injured. I had broke my arm my senior year, so I only played in 2 games my senior year. So that hurt me a lot. I'm already coming from an HBCU. So it's an uphill battle already, right, in terms of trying to get drafted to the NFL. But I can say that if you can play, they're going to find you.
Absolutely.
Right, and they're going to give you an opportunity. And that's all I asked for, man. And I got the opportunity where I signed an undrafted free agent contract with the San Francisco 49ers. And so here I am, man, born and raised in Atlanta. Never really been out of the state for real, right? My first time really on a plane probably was my flight to Indianapolis for the combine.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so to sign a contract with them, and I go from Atlanta, Georgia, all the way cross country to California, it was a culture shock. You know, it was definitely a culture shock for me. I had to, learn how to be on my own for the first time, right? Be on my own for the first time. Learn how to manage my own money. You know, even to that point, I remember my first check that I got in the NFL. It was after the first training camp. I got to my locker. I had a check in there for $14,000, right?
Wow.
That was a lot of money.
A lot of money, yeah.
Right? One time, I ain't never seen that kind of money. I remember flying back home to Atlanta, right? And this is also a lesson to these people out here: manage your money the right way.
Yes.
I think it was Monday. I flew back on a Sunday. Man, Monday, I was at the check cashing store trying to cash that check. He said, man, I can't cash this. I said, man, the money good. He said, I ain't got the money. He said, you got to take that to the bank. And so I told my mama, she said, boy, you can't do that. You need to go open up an account. So here I am, 22 years old, don't even have a bank account.
Wow.
Right? So she took me to Nations Bank. Shout out to Nations Bank. It used to be Nations Bank, but it's Bank of America now.
Yep.
And I opened an account. And they said, well, you're going to have to wait about, 3-4 days for your check to clear. I said, this money good. Y'all see what's on this check? They said, yeah, but you got to wait. They gave me a debit card. My name wasn't even on a debit card. I checked it every day. And when that money hit theirs, I walked. I lived in the West End at the time.
Right.
I walked from my house to the Nations Bank, which is right there in the West End. That money hit. I remember going right to the West End Mall. Man, I'm buying Jordans,
everything,
Timberlands gear. Just stupid with my money, right? Buying new watches and all that. So definitely, man, once you get in that position and you touching money that you never touched before, be smart with your money,
Yes.
be wise with your money. But I truly learned how much of a business that the NFL is. I mean, the NFL really should stand for not for long, because if you look at right now, the average tenure in the NFL in terms of career, I mean, you're looking at less than 2 years. You know what I'm saying? And I got hurt in my third year.
Right.
That pretty much ended, my career and my tenure in the NFL. And now that's why I go back to that plan B, just kind of having something to fall back on. You know what I'm saying? When things don't go your way in the NFL.
Perfect. Now, Coach, great story. Coach, let's you talk about giving back and reaching, and you're all about, not only do you give back, but you're all about reaching back.
Yeah.
You've always, since I've known you, you shirt off your back if somebody needed it.
No doubt.
But you've created another amazing opportunity for athletes to get exposure. Can you talk about Friday Night Lights?
Oh, yeah.
And I think we're in year three,
three,
if I'm mistaken.
Yep.
You talk about that, how it was created, who was it for, and it's getting bigger by every year, it seems.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love Friday Night Lights. And I'm glad that you asked that question, man, because it really does give me an opportunity to help those kids that otherwise probably wouldn't have had the opportunity to get that type of exposure. Right. And remember me, I was that kid that was underdeveloped, that was raw, right? Had the intangibles, but I just didn't have the training and the coaching and the exposure and all those things. And so Friday Night Lights is for somebody that was like me.
Daco Coleman.
There you go.
I saw him last
like
year.
that.
Yes.
For kids like that, Daco Coleman. Shout out to him. He's going to Furman now.
Congratulations, kid.
Yeah, kids like Deuce. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
My first year, not only was it for Deuce, but it was for a multiple kid that was like Deuce, meaning that it was a kid that can go. Really good ball player, got good film, but they maybe didn't play in the biggest market, maybe didn't win championships, didn't have an opportunity to get ranked and rated and all these things. So I said, you know what? I'm going to create a opportunity for them to showcase their talents and their skills in front of the people that matters most, right? So it was a guy by the name of Brandon Howell, who at the time, he was a writer for 24/7 Sports. And I remember him giving me a call, hey, man, I want to come by your training facility, check out some of your guys and see what you got. I heard you're a good trainer, and I want to see what, some of the guys you got. So I remember he came down to my facility, over at Fineo, shout out Fineo, over in Smyrna where I train. And there were a lot of kids there that day. He took pictures of them. They didn't have 24/7 profiles, right? Dudes, Eric Singleton, that's at Georgia Tech, who's also a true freshman All-American.
Crazy.
Right? DeAndre Buchanan, another All-American, freshman All-American at Georgia Southern. There was a number of players there that day. James Johnson, who was with me at Dutch County now. I mean, he probably got 50-plus offers. But these kids at that time, nobody knew who they were. They didn't have 24/7. They didn't even have a picture.
Wow.
They forget a star. They didn't even have a profile. So he created profiles for them that day, all right? And he and I were talking about, he was like, you know what, I'm going to come back. This time, can you get maybe some DBs, that I can see too as well, because it was all receivers that day. And then that conversation just kind of evolved to, man, you know what, let's just do a showcase.
Showcase, right.
Then you get a chance to see him perform in person. We do like this one-on-one thing anyway with my boy Coach Pope.
Shout out to Coach Pope, yes. Just saw that Bauer moment, him letting that kid
man,
that's him all day, right? If you
that's
know
his
him,
energy.
Yes.
He ain't mean that harm, no harm. He's from the old school like me, you know what I'm saying? And so we said, you know what, let's just make it a big deal. And I said, you know what, I'm going to do it on a Friday night. We're going to call it Friday Night Lights. We're going to invite some quarterbacks. We're going to invite maybe 25 receivers, maybe 25 DBs, and we're going to train, and we're going to have just a one-on-one showcase, and I'm going to invite some of the media there.
Right.
And, man, when I tell you it turned out to something that was really big because not only, was Friday Night Lights Showcase successful in terms of how we ran it, how everything turned out, but there were so many kids that were relative unknowns before Friday Night Lights that after Friday Night Lights, their stock went up. They blew up. I'm talking about now they getting offers. Now they ranked. They getting stars. They getting write-ups in all these rivals, 24/7 Sports and all these things because these sports writers today, they create the narrative for your recruits.
Yes, they do.
Right? And it can be good or bad.
Right.
Right? And so Friday Night Lights is just an opportunity for you to showcase your skill. I don't even have a profile. Rivals don't rank me. 24, okay, well, now you got a chance.
Now you get a chance. Come on out.
Here's your opportunity. It's on you. And depending on how you do, that's where it's going to go.
The work will show.
There you go. So here we are, man, going into year 3.
Wow.
It's continued to evolve year after year. Shout out to Phenom.
I see you repping it.
Now. I rep Phenom because it's one of the brands that I have that represents, that supports Route King training. I've been signing them for a minute now, probably 3-4 years.
Coach, I got to take advantage of this moment. Phenom. Sports, I want to get rid of this Nike now.
There we go.
That logo would look good on y'all stuff now. So come on, if you're watching this, Phenom.
We on that, man. I got you. But yeah, so he provides the apparel and the awards and stuff like the gloves and stuff like that to give away for the kids. And it's getting bigger and bigger every year, man. Shout out to my boy Donovan Potter. He owns a company called Potter Law. Okay. Right. Last year he came in and he sponsored the awards, trophies and stuff like that. And he also sponsored the food for every camper. He came back this year and said, hey, man, I want to help again. So shout out to him. He's already coming in. So every camper, every guy that's in Friday Night Light going to eat free.
Wow.
Right? They're going to have awards. I'm going to have an MVP for offense, defense, and then an overall MVP. So that's all because of people that support the brand, believe in the brand, that want to come in and help, man. So like I said, I could not do this without them. And guess who'll be right there helping me the whole time?
Who's that?
The A-team.
The A-team, right, the same folks.
My ABA, this ain't got nothing to do with ABA.
Right.
So not only do they support me with ABA, but they also support me with Route King training too. So, it's a blessing, man, just to have those type of people in your corner.
Yeah, Coach, I think you know it, but that says a lot about who you are, those intangibles.
Yeah.
Like people, they see the vision, see where you're going, and want to help you get up there as you pull other kids back. So,
absolutely.
Crazy, Coach. And that list of receivers is getting crazy.
Oh, yeah.
DJ, I'll pass it back to you. Go ahead, DJ.
Coach, tell us about Good Sport Drink, Coach. You're a brand ambassador.
I see you always a Good Sport, Coach. Tell us about it.
Man, I just did a commercial for Good Sport yesterday. It's coming out soon, so y'all stay tuned for that. But, I think that the Good Sport came about with a guy by the name of Kip Lewis. Okay. All right. Kip Lewis, he's one of the higher-ups with Good Sport now, working with that brand. But before Good Sport, he worked at Zenith. And so when he worked at Zenith, he had reached out to me. He saw what I was doing with Route King training with ABA. He said, man, I love what you're doing. We want to partner with you to help you guys out. So back then, when he was with Zenith, he would sponsor helmets. He would send me helmets and stuff like that for kids. He would send me gloves and hand warmers, like all the Zenith stuff, apparel and all those things. So I was a brand ambassador for Zenith. And so when he wound up getting the job with Good Sport, clearly he reached back out and said, hey, I'm no longer with Zenith. I'm with Good Sport now. I want to continue our relationship. And so I'm going to have a conversation with the CEO. And he had that conversation. I got on the phone with it. It went really well. And they said, all right, well, there it is. You're going to be a brand ambassador for Good Sport. And, man, when I tell you that they provide me with product, they ship the whole refrigerator to me, right? Wow. I get Good Sport, every month, all right? And, they pay me, shout out to Good Sport.
Shout out,
you know what I'm saying? But it's a good product, man, because I train athletes. And one of the biggest things about, one of the most important things with athletes is hydration.
Coach, Good Sport.
There we go. There's a plug right there. We're gonna be in contact, right? But hydration is so important, right? So we're talking about, it's a lot of sports drinks out there, right? Obviously, they couldn't corner the market with just sports drink, but I think one of the things that separated them is made from the goodness of milk.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? But it's lactose free. It's crazy, man. But and it tastes good, right? So it's an electrolyte.
That's another thing, right?
Yeah, this is an electrolyte because you know when you're dealing with kids, it got to taste good. And you know, so they got 4 different flavors. Got orange citrus, they got wild berry, got fruit punch, and as well as lemon lime. And they just sent me 2 new flavors. They coming out, you know, pretty soon. They got the strawberry lemonade.
Oh, wow.
And then also that blueberry that's coming up soon.
Right.
So Good Sport, man, it's just a great company. They continue to grow. And they out on the shelves now in the bigger markets, man. You know, they at Publix and Walmart.
You helping them grow it. I mean,
absolutely
right.
help grow that brand. So it's one of those things where we're growing together. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
They scratch my back, I scratch theirs. So it's a great partnership with them.
Well, keep us in mind, Coach.
I got you.
Love to, Coach, DJ gonna close us out, but I got 2 more things for you.
Yep.
And we'll get you out here, and I appreciate your time.
No problem.
I don't want to skip over the nationally recognized name, Route King.
Man.
We read off earlier some of your accounts. You're working with Lawrence Taylor. You're his go-to guy when it's time for receiver stuff and just camp stuff overall.
Yep.
You've teamed up with Trent Dilfer and QBIQ.
Yes.
Gunslinger Academy.
Yes.
You got many partnerships, but could you talk about how Route King has evolved into those doors? And I don't even want to talk about the list of receivers.
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill, I mean, the tight end, but I mean, just the high school kids. I mean, Deuce. Could you talk about Route King and what it means and what it's developing to?
Yeah, I think I really appreciate where Route King is now because of the work that I know I put into getting it to where it is now, right? And I know that I did that with the help of supporting the community, people around me to get me to this position. But also it was, I didn't get to where I'm at, man, hating on anybody else. I didn't get to where I'm at riding someone else's wave or anything like that. It was just hard work, man. Like you talked about, like when do I rest? I've been doing this now for 10 years.
Wow.
I've been doing it for 10 years. Route King training started 10 years ago. And it really started on the backs of my own 2 children because I really was just training my daughters, shout out to Kayla, and Deuce coming up. And they were having a lot of success, track and field, football, softball, and all
People
those
want to
things.
see that, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, my daughter, man, was a 4-time state champion in high school, a national champion as a senior. She went to school on a full ride at the University of Louisville, right, as a hurdler. She still got the record today.
Wow.
100-meter hurdle record and the 60-meter hurdle record at University of Louisville, right? And so when they started to see my kids have success, and they were like, hey, man, what you doing with them?
Let me get a little bit to
I
you.
trained them. This is before Route King. I trained them like, what you tell me to train my kid? I'm like, man, just give me $10.
Right.
Just come to one of our sessions where we train them. And so it started with 1 or 2 kids, and man, it just continued to grow. Next thing you know, I look up, I got 30 and 40 kids in one session.
Wow.
And we would be at Mays High School, right? Just working out there at Mays High School. And after a while, it was like, okay, like my wife was like, you might need to make a business out of this. Like, you need to legitimize it at this point because now it's growing. And this is, nobody else was training like this, right? There wasn't any off-season conditioning like that, right? 7-on-7 didn't exist the way that it did.
Right.
So everybody was coming to me. I had kids that were coming from all over the city to train me every Sunday, right? And so eventually, you know, we decided to legitimize it and we created the Route King training. Holla at my boy, Coach Dwight. He was a commissioner at Welcome Hall Park at the time, good friend of mine. We're from the same area. And he was like, you the Route King, cuz. You know, that's how he talked, right? That's how he said. I said, you know what? I like that, Route King. That's catchy. I'm going to be the Route King. And I created the logos. I mean, bought all the domain names, man, and created the LLCs and did all the business stuff, right, to create Route King training, created the socials. And it just continued to grow from there, man. This was social media were really starting to take off.
Right.
You know, and then people would see it and like, hey, what is that? Where's that? And I would give it to them, and they started to come. And then just over the years, it just continued to evolve, right? Now, and I pride myself on development, right? So I got guys that I'm developing, and they getting better, and now they going out there. So right, that was my advertisement right there. I got walking billboards.
Absolutely.
Like, who you train with, Route King? Like, for real, he need to train my son. So fast forward to maybe 2018, I got a DM from Tavon Austin, right? And everybody know who Tavon Austin is.
Yes.
He probably got like the best and most watched, college football highlight tape ever, right? Yes. University of West Virginia legend. And he's like, yo, I love what you're doing for the kids, man. When I come to Atlanta, I want to work with you. And he came to Atlanta, sure enough, and he worked with me, and I trained him, filmed it, put it out there. People saw it like, oh, my God. Then next thing you know, I'm working with Darren Waller, right? He was
tight end.
A Pro Bowl tight end,
Yes.
you know what I'm saying? So I worked with him. And then I think when it really took off is when Muhammad Sanu called me.
Yes.
Muhammad Sanu came, and when he came with all the Atlanta Falcons receivers.
Wow.
And so I think that what it was is just the work that I did with those 3 guys, and then it just kind of gave me even more credibility, and people trusted it. And the NFL is a small fraternity anyway. You know what I'm saying? Word of mouth. And then from there, man, it just grew, man. And my list is long in terms of the number of NFL receivers that I've had the opportunity to work with and continue to work with. And it even involved now where I'm working with guys that are not even receivers. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, you know, I'm training Jason Pinnock right now
I saw that, yep.
from the New York Giants. He just started in free safety for the New York Giants. And he coming to me for all-season training. You know what I'm saying? And so it just continued to grow and evolve, man, over the years. And it's just hard work and consistency, you know, consistency.
Coach, I'm not going to let you leave out.
Yeah.
You do it the right way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you said, I think if you ain't hating on nobody, you ain't tearing nobody
Absolutely.
down, you're doing it the right way. And the universe, God going to take care of everything else.
Man, I'm telling you, everything going to happen the way it was supposed to.
Yes.
Right?
When we knew you were coming, we had to reach out to him and ask him, man, look, we were interviewing your dad today. What would you say? Give us some words to give to your dad. And so Deuce, man, shot us a letter. We couldn't catch up with Kel, but we got up with Deuce. He woke up he said, it's my only day to rest, man.
Yeah.
My dad, all right. So DJ, go ahead and write what Deuce said. Go read what Deuce said.
All right, so Deuce said, my dad means the world to me. I say that because of the countless sacrifices to make sure that I succeed in anything in life. And he's my role model. Without him being the best father figure, it's no telling what I'd be doing right now.
Oh, man.
Coach, when you hear that, I mean, I know as a father, you know, the efforts, the sacrifice, especially being a dad coach.
Yeah.
You know, all that goes into that. And to
Yeah.
hear him say that, how does that make you feel, Coach?
Hey, man, I didn't know y'all going to have me teared up in here, man. You know, that's huge because I never heard him say that. I never really asked or, you know, heard how he felt about me from his perspective. You know, all I just tried to do, you know, over the years, man, for both of my kids is just be present. Not only just be present, but be supportive. Be what my dad was to me and more. Because doing the work that I do in the community that I do the work in, right, I oftentimes come across kids that don't have that. They don't have a dad. They don't have a positive role model. And people ask me like, man, you evolved, man. Like, why you still in the hood, quote unquote? Won't you go up to Alpharetta? Won't you go to Roswell? Won't you go somewhere where you more value and get more money? It was never about the money for me, right? It was just about, you know, reaching back to those kids that needed it the most. Because I was once that kid. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, just to hear that, you know, makes my heart smile, man. You know, it really does. And I always tell them, you know, as long as God put breath in my body, man, I'm going to support you. I'm going to support you. I'm going to be here for you. I'm going to be your biggest fan, but I'm also going to be your harshest critic. You know, I always tell people, you know, how Deuce gets so mentally tough. He was raised that way. You can't break him, right? He done been through adverse situations. He done been through things that would have broke most adults, let alone a child. He ain't but 18 years old. He done been through it. But, you know, so I'm going to continue to support him, continue to support my daughter, and not only them, but everybody else that I come across. Treat you like you my own. You know, with DJ, and you told me that a long time ago when I first started training. Hey, man, he yours. I take that with pride. I take that to heart because I look at every kid, male or female, that I come across. If I can just touch one of them, if I could just make a difference in one of them, I've done my part. Because you can't save them all.
No.
We know that, right? They're going to be, no matter what you do, despite, you know, whatever efforts that you make, whatever sacrifice you make, some of them going to go the wrong way, right? But, you know, I think that I just take pride in just the ones that do turn out good, man.
Yeah. Coach, we'll close on this, man. Like I said, when I read that statement, it moved me.
Yeah.
Like I said, because I remember what Duke said. You better a couple of years. I know what it meant to you. You know,
Yeah.
so I know the sacrifice. So that moved me to hear him say that, especially the last part.
Yeah.
You don't know where he would be.
Yeah.
You know, that's powerful. He could be, I mean, we know what's out of the trials and pitfalls that's out here. So to hear him say that was huge for me.
He went through it. He went through periods, man, of low self-esteem,
Right.
and self-doubt, right? And I can remember just pulling him. I remember, man, when he was going through that, and he went. The period that he went through it was when he was going through a growth spurt. Because Deuce had been special, man. From 5 years old to 12 years old, man, he was special, quick, fast, explosive, one of the better players out there, right? And I even held him back in Little League because he was my son, and I coached him. So you always get get that, oh, that's some daddy ball stuff. They never gave him his just due. That kid liked that, right? But because he was my son, he would get talked about, hated on, and all those things, right? But he didn't care. It's almost like it just drove him, man. He was just wired differently mentally, right? But then, like, when he went to high school, he didn't grow. He was small, and his knees started to hurt. 9th grade year, 10th grade year, and everybody around him was still getting accolades and offers and all that. And he would get down on himself, like, dang, what's going on? And I remember taking him to the trophy room one day. I said, man, look around, bro. You forgot who you was? Where you think all this stuff came from? Right. Right? That person is still here. Bro, you gonna grow. Trust me. Look at your feet. Look at your hands. You just keep working and you keep your head up. You never doubt yourself, doubt your abilities. So I know that that's where he was touching that, because he could have gone by the wayside and not, came out the other side of that. But because he had me there to support him and push him through it, along with his mom and his sister and his family and everybody else to support him, he was able to come out on the bright side of that, man. So that just felt good, man, to hear that.
I'll close on this, Coach. To you, man, reading the list, and I'm grateful for everybody that's going to help us with this show and stuff like that. But
yeah.
It really meant a lot to me. I want to say man to man, coach to coach, however you want to put it. I want to give you your flowers.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Deuce just gave you, but from a man and watching what you're doing, how you've grown your business, how you're taking care of kids, how you take care of the community. Again, like they said, you could have went other places and did other things, but you stay on your ground zero and doing it. So on behalf of me and this show, we want to give you flowers, man. I salute what you're doing, Coach. Keep achieving. If we can help you in any way, I got you, man, and I appreciate everything you got from me. Any advice before we close, Coach? Any advice? Well, I'll let you process that, but on the way out, any advice you would give to kids and the youth watching this on the way out?
Yeah, man. So the advice that I would give the kids that might be watching this, man, is it's two things that you can always control, right? And that's your attitude and your effort, right? You can control how you respond to adverse situations, and you can always control your effort that you put in the things that you do. I had a conversation with a kid today, and I think this kid only 10 years old. And we were doing a drill. It was a competitive drill. He's one of those competitive kids, just like my own, right? Just like you, competing. And at the end, he failed, right, doing the drill, right? And so he lost the drill. And so at the end, I was trying to coach him up on, hey, here's what you did wrong and why you failed. He was talking back the whole time. I was like, oh, relax. I said, son, you are immensely talented, and you're going to get even better and better as you go. But you got to be coachable. You got to be coachable. You got to have a positive attitude. You got to be able to listen. You got to be able to take criticism the same way you take praise. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so, control those things out, because you're going to go through some situations in your life. You know what I'm saying? Not just as a kid, but also as an adult. But those moments, that help prepare him, for adulthood one day.
Appreciate
it. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to you. Shout out to Sports Told by You.
Man, appreciate it.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised that you want me on the show, because you've always supported me. So I just want to give you your flower, man, just being a solid brother. Because since I've known you, man, you've been one of the most supportive people that I've ever been around. And I don't see that a lot, you know what I'm saying? Especially in our community, because we always try to tear each other down, or you don't want nobody to do better than you and all these things. But one thing that you did and said one time, and it always stuck out to me, where I'll always be there for you if you need me. I remember at one point, I think you would ask me either about the price of training or either my apparel or something like that, and I gave you a price. He said, I don't want no discount. I ain't asking Nike for no discount. Man, you my brother. I'm going to pay you whatever it is. And I just wish that everybody had that same mindset. You know what I'm saying? Because too many times in our community, not just with training, but with anything that we do, we open a business, we start a business, folks are always looking for the 5-figure discount, always looking for the hookup and all those things, instead of supporting and believing in what the product is that I'm putting out there.
Yes.
And that's just something that you've always done, man. And I just want to tell you I appreciate that.
Man, appreciate it. It's all love. Anything else, Deez, before we get out here?
No, I just want to say thank you.
Well, guys, make sure you follow Sports Told by You, the legend, the real man, the myth, the legend, Coach Hilton, Route King Alexander. Coach, how can they find you on Instagram?
Yeah, man, so you can follow me on all social media channels at Route King_1. That's ROUTEKING_ and the number 1. You can also follow Atlanta Bulldogs, atlanta.bulldogs.com. Yeah, we here, man. Registration is open now. If you got any kids out there that want to play tackle football and learn it the right way, we got stability. We got a home field with lights and all these different things, man, and we're doing everything the right way from ages 4 all the way up to age 14. AtlantaBulldogs.com. Look us up. I'm here, man. Anything I can do. If you need training, no matter what your position is, no matter what the girl, boy, it don't matter what sport you play, I got you, man. Look me up. Holla at your boy.
We out. Peace.